Welcome to RareGames Gradedcollectibles, where we're going to talk about do not look at graded games as an investment. Please do not look at sealed games as an investment. This is not something that you should get into if you want to invest your money. You can invest your money into a house. You can invest your money into the S&P. You can invest your money into a dollar store or buy cars or something like that. Okay, you cannot, if you needed money or anything, at least a house, you can get equity out of that, money out of that, still be able to keep the house. If you wanted to sell a sealed or graded game, you cannot sit here and get money out of that like a house or car. First and foremost, you have to sell the game first at a price what somebody is willing to pay for, because how do you know if somebody just want to pay the price that you want them to pay for? See, that's the difference between a house, the S&P. If the S&P if you buy a stock at $1 and it goes up by $500, you can sit here and cash out and get $500 because Joe Smo sold his rare Zelda for $5,000 doesn't mean that your Zelda is going to sell for $5,000. He got somebody to buy it. See, that's the difference. You have to get somebody who's willing to buy the game for that price that you're asking for. That's why this is extremely risky to get into. Do not look at this as an investment, because all you're going to do is just hurt yourself if you do look at it as investment, because this is not something that I would suggest looking into. And it's sad when something that's so-called is growing or people are manipulating it to make it feel like this is something that's going to be big or something. You have to be careful, okay? You really have to be careful, because there's no regulation in this. There's no government official getting involved into corruption that's behind this. This can be easily be manipulated, easily being controlled, easily all types of things. Do not get into this and look at it as investment. Do not think that you can buy yourself a house, a car out of this, because price hiking games, making people think that the game is worth something big, and then when you sell your game, it's nowhere near the price that it's going from, because people are manipulating and cheating and all types of things. Yeah, a big lump sum or money or whatever, some serious things that hit the headlines. Yes, the government probably will get involved in regulating things or something like that. But until then, this industry can be very controlled. Well, that's the thing about this. The stock industry cannot be controlled. The housing market cannot be controlled. At the end of the day, if the housing market goes up and you wanted to sell out, or you wanted some money out of that and still be able to keep your property, you still able to do that. If you invested to a dollar store, you could keep your dollar store and be able to make money and profit off of it and pay your workers. But video game collecting, graded game collecting, is definitely something that is not an investment. You got to remember something. This is how it works, right? If you have a game and you're buying 2-3 copies of a sealed game, going to get it graded, and the next person has got 2-3 sealed copies of the next game, and the next person got it, how many copies do you think that game is going to sell in a year if people are just throwing it out? It's not going to go nowhere. And you listen to Heritage Auctions that's sitting here, that's manipulating a lot of these things, making it seem like, oh, these games is going to be rare, and you paying tons of money for this stuff. And you get out there thinking that, oh, well, my game is worth this amount of money, and you get in Facebook groups and you get in all these Reddits and stuff like that. And it's a joke, because at the end of the day, somebody is going to get bit at the end of the stick. And when that person buy it, and then when they realize somewhere down the line they just lost 3-5 grand, they're gonna look stupid, and then they're gonna want to just throw the whole thing away and just give up in the game. I believe retro game collecting is the future. Once it gets to the Nintendo Switch and all that other silliness, I don't think video game grading games is gonna go anywhere like that, because people are just got their hands in, the piggy bank pockets and thinking that, oh, this is gonna be a future, and let me just rack up on a bunch of copies of this game and rack up on a bunch of copies of that game. And it's gonna be total too many sealed copies that's going around that is just not gonna really go up in value like that, because Heritage Auctions or these other people, they're there to make money, right? And they're gonna take a game and they're gonna promote it and they're gonna make it look like, oh, it's rare, it's worth all this money. And then when all these copies started hitting, they're gonna start declining that stuff, because they'll be like, wait a minute, hold up, time out. Like, they know that these games is gonna just be worthless. They're just gonna go super down in value. And Heritage Auctions is not for that. They're for the rarity. They're for the whole thing of, pump and dump type of thing. You're getting into this for money, getting into this as an investment. Please. I don't know who's in your ear. I don't know what videos you're watching. I don't know anything else. They're fooling you, okay? You gotta check me out, RareGames Gradedcollectibles, because I'm an old vet in this, okay? And I'm gonna tell you something else, and I'm gonna tell you how bad this industry is, right? Heritage Auctions and Certified Lincoln, all these people are new, okay? Because eBay, I'm gonna tell you what the real deal. And you could be stuck on a game that you want to get rid of for, 2-3 years. And you might have to go to a local game store to get rid of it. You know what I'm saying? Because when you turn around and all of a sudden you trying to get rid of a game and you see 7 copies of that same game coming, and they trying to get rid of the game, they gonna start cutthroating each other, selling it at low, cheap prices. And you're gonna take a loss. You know what I'm saying? And if you sit here and you listen to these silly people who talks about, oh, you know what I mean, hold the game for 10 years. And yeah, that might be nice for a teenager. Yeah, that might be nice for somebody in their 20s. But on and up, you don't even know if you're going to live that long, to hold something that long. You know what I'm saying? And over top of that, you don't even know where your mindset is going to be from there. You might not even be into graded game collecting and things like that anymore. You might be moving on, you might have kids and all this other stuff, and 10 years is just way too long. Listen to silly people like that. Oh, hold it for 10 years, 15 years, it's gonna be worth something. Anything can happen in that longevity and things like that. You know what I'm saying? The most is probably 3, and it's time for it to go. At the end of the day, like I was saying, as far as eBay, people just start throwing it, and then nobody wants to buy it. Because at the end of the day, people like buying rare things, right? People like to sit back and say, boom, I bought this rare thing. I can be able to either flip it or I can be able to resell it and get my money's worth down the line. This is not it. This industry is definitely not it. You know what I'm saying? So if you think that, at the end of the day, you're investing and things like that, please do not invest, because at the end of the day, there's people that's sitting on these copies. It's people that all of a sudden they see something sells real big, and then all of a sudden they throw their copies out, and the next person throw their copies out, and then you got 7-10 copies that's out, and then nobody wants it, and then they get forced to sell it at low, cheap prices and things because they trying to get rid of it. And it's a hard seller. It's a lot of games I'm not even gonna mention that I'm laughing, because at one time, they were so-called rare. These people who bought it a long time ago, re-releasing them out, and you're like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful buying these things at prices that's crazy, because there's a lot of copies out there. If you're thinking these Marios, or you're thinking these Zeldas, or Grails to go, somewhere with them, be careful, because these were $1 million sellers, games, Okay, they're not rare. And once it becomes established, inherited auctions and other auction places, be careful, because a lot of manipulation is going to be played a part of this, because at the end of the day, they make money off of hype. Okay, and they're going to try to find their way the highest possible to be able to make it look like these games are rare and all this other silliness. It's cool to collect, because if you collect, at the end of the day, you don't care if it ever sells. You know what I'm saying? If that's what you're in it for, then that's a good, because collecting is good. You enjoy the game. You know, this is a holy grail piece to you. And if it's one day be worth something, then hey, one day it's worth something. But at the end of the day, you don't care if it ever become worth anything. But if you're doing it for investment, for money, I got news for you, boss. You're probably gonna lose a lot of money when you realize that there's other people that's in this. There's people that's been doing this 10 times way before you even got into the game, like me, you know, and they know the ropes, they know the game, they know all this, and you're getting in it, and you're looking at this as an investment, and it's gonna hurt you. Some games is gonna go skyrocket high, and people gonna look at those games like, oh, I wish I had that game, but you know, it's a monopoly in this. You never know what it's gonna be that, you know, and just sitting here speculating, thinking that the game is gonna, please don't do that. Put your money into the S&P, put your money into buying a house, you know, put your money into owning a little store or something. You know, if you want to open up a mom and pop shop video game store, do that. You have a better chance of doing that and selling your graded games like that. But please do not do it as an investment and one day you able to sell it for triduple money, because you're gonna wind up being out of pocket of things and making a loss. So do not look at this as an investment. I hope you learned something from this, from the mistakes that I've made in the past years in this grading game and sealed game collecting. Thank you for watching Rare Games Graded Collectibles.